What's up, guys? Aaron back here. Excited about a new series called Operation Run, but Don't Run. This is episode 1. It's going to be covering a lot of the strength exercises I'm going to be using to train for my endurance race without actually running. So what you're seeing here is a workout I did to start the week off. It's hill repeats and sled pulls. I'm doing my hill repeats on a segment on Strava called Suffer This. It's 33% incline, 115 feet of vertical gain, and it's a 1/10 of a mile round trip. So as you can see, I'm carrying a 45-pound plate, which averages out to be about 20% of my body weight. I'm carrying it in one hand, which is really forcing my core to stabilize and overcompensate for the weight pulling down on one side so it can stay balanced and even as I trek up the hill. And as an added bonus with the weight, it's really preparing my quads to be able to take the impact of running downhill. Okay, then a 2-minute rest and right into pulling sleds with 30% of my body weight. The distance was a 1/10 of a mile. It was a slight hill, doing both of these in sets of 10 minutes. So I'm doing the hill twice, so 20 minutes total, and I'm doing the sled pull twice, 20 minutes total. Okay, so strength perfects technique, and the reason for pulling 30% of my body weight in the sled is that the weight's trying to pull me back. It's trying to pull my hips back. So I have to make sure my hips are constantly driving forward, my glutes are engaged, my core is active, pushing out against that belt, a nice big upright elevated rib cage, and I'm trying to pull my spine to the ceiling. So I'm trying to lift myself up from my spine, and this will alleviate some of the pressure and impact in your feet, and you'll actually feel lighter as you run. Now on to workout number 2, which was 2 days later, and that is max effort barbell work. So I'm only using a barbell once a week, and today I decided to do box squats with extra heavy resistance bands and heavy overhead pressing. The box is 12¼ inches high, which is well below parallel for me, so making the movement even harder getting started from the bottom. Here I'm really just trying to work on my form and getting as tight and stable as possible and trying to control that weight and not have it control me. You can see here how tight my upper back is, so I'm trying to bend that bar over my back. I'm trying to keep my head nice and neutral and looking forward, a big upright chest, big tight belly. Get as fat as you can and push out on that while flexing. Arch your lower back as hard as you can. Push your feet outward, so you're trying to take your knees to the opposing walls. You want to limit the movement of the forward movement of the knee as much as possible, and really shoot your hips back and sit down onto that box. This is going to build tremendous hip strength and also explosive strength as you go from a dead stop to explode off the box. Trying to train for an endurance event is not very conducive to training strength. It's hard to get good at two opposite things at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to maintain as much of the strength as I built over the last 4 months as possible. Okay, I fell my last rep at 275 with extra heavy bands, and the band tension at the top is a total of 110 pounds. So that makes it 385 pounds at the top. I ended up doing 5 total reps of that weight in box squats and then moved on to heavy overhead press. Well, heavy for me, it was only 135 pounds, but I was doing higher reps, so I was doing reps of 8 or 9, and I did 5 sets of those. These I do because it forces you to stabilize from the ground up, because you're pushing that weight overhead, maneuvering around your body and trying to lock out, so it forces you to stay strong all the way from the feet, all the way to the lockout in the elbows. And this sort of upright grounding and stability is exactly what we want to be good at to be efficient at running. On to workout number 3, which was one-legged box-to-box jump. So I'm sitting on a 15-inch box. I'm standing up with one leg and then jumping with one leg onto a 13-inch box. So I did 6 sets total and a total of 40 reps on each leg. This exercise teaches incredible control and balance, learning how to stabilize and land in awkward positions, which is a requirement if you're going to be a trail runner. Jumping is going to be a big part of my training in my efforts to complete this race without actually using any running to train for it. Jumping teaches explosive power, but it also mimics a triple extension, which is the same thing as the pull through in running. As you can see, when I jump, my ankle flexes, my knee flexes, and my hip flexes. They all extend at the same time, and then my hips shoot through. Then I try to land as softly as I can in a quarter squat position, just like running. If you plan on following along with this series, you're going to notice that I do a lot of the same exercises. I just change the small variations in them. So right now I'm jumping on one leg from box to box. Maybe next time I'll jump with 2 legs as explosively as I can. I'm constantly trying to change the variables in my training so my body never adapts, so it's always in an uncomfortable environment, which is going to force adaptation and growth. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to stimulate the most growth with the least amount of volume possible. This will prevent injury, fatigue, overtraining, all the bad shit we don't want that most runners have. If we could all just take a moment of silence to hear how hard I hit my head off the ceiling, that'd be great. So after my jumping, I went on to walking lunges forward and backwards. So the backwards trains the deceleration. So if you just would stand up and you go to take a step backwards, you see that the toes get loaded first and then you rock back to your heel. So the knee's in front of the toes, so the knee gets loaded first. And that trains the deceleration, like running down hills, and it just keeps the knee strong. And then we all know what forward lunges feel like. But this is a great way for me to keep high conditioning. So I just do 10 rounds of these, 1 minute on, 15 to 20 seconds rest. And then 5 times a week, no matter what, I work my lower back and my abs separately. Depends on the day and how much I feel like doing. So here I decided to use a reverse hyper machine, which targets mainly the whole posterior chain while decompressing the spine. It's one of my favorites. It's a staple in my workout. If you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Stay tuned for next episode. It's going to be the conditioning side of things. And as always, keep on.